everyone. Welcome to the third panel of the Right Crowd 2021, a virtual literary expo. I am here with three wonderful authors and educators to share their insight on our Authors in Education panel. I am so very excited to be hosting the Right Crowd again for the second time virtually, hoping to make this an annual thing. And it's always wonderful to have authors return. You all are amazing. It's amazing to showcase you. And we're going to have a lot of fun today. So for those of you joining us on Facebook and YouTube, feel free to drop a comment and say hello. I can actually bring your comments up on screen if you have any questions, if you want to make a comment, if you want to say hi, if you want to engage at all. 100%, I encourage you to do so that way we could make this as interactive as possible. And we do have two authors that one will be unable to make it today and another may be experiencing technical difficulties. So we have Dr. E.T., Edith Revino, who she has so many different titles, dealing a lot with like bilingual literacy and social emotional learning and all sorts of different things. So she's a wonderful educator, a wonderful public speaker, an amazing author. And unfortunately, she couldn't make it today, but she's always amazing. And I'm very grateful to have been able to showcase her, even if just a little bit. And for Rey Jopé, he also has several children's books, lots of good messages. He's an educator as well for different grade levels. And so hopefully he can log on later or yes, he's saying, how do I join you all? Okay, I will send you the link right now, but we will definitely have you on soon and be able to showcase that. So we can begin with some introductions. So starting with Miss Ana Cavazos, where are you tuning in from? Say hello to everyone on Facebook Landia and tell us a little bit about yourself and your occupation as an educator. You're muted right now. Yes.
And that is why I don't like the mute button. I forget to turn it back on. Hi, everybody. I'm Ana Cavazos. I'm tuning in from Harlingen, Texas. I'd like to think that I help represent the unique culture of the Valley as best as I can, documenting my family stories and things that I've gone through in life as I went through my career in education. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad you could be here and have you today. And our next speaker will be Rey Banda. Tell us where you're tuning in from, your position in education, and a little bit about yourself before we go into the more in-depth introductions momentarily.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rey Banda. I'm tuning in from Wesco. And of course, some of you may know that I am a special education teacher from a local middle school here in Wesco. And it's just an honor to be here again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Miss Rosalinda Cruz, tell us a little bit about yourself, your position in education. Where are you tuning in from on this fine Saturday afternoon?
Hello, everybody. My name is Rosalinda Cruz, and I am from Los Fresnos, Texas. And I am an LPC. I am also a certified school counselor. I'm also a certified laughter yoga leader and a presenter and obviously an author. And this is why I am here in this wonderful author platform with some amazing people. So thank you, Katelynn, for inviting us.
Thank you so very much. And I know that will be a question that I ask later on in terms of your occupations, especially education and beyond, which is always amazing. And then how you balance it all and all that good stuff. So we do have some more people tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. Hello, everyone. Again, if you have a comment or if you have a question, or even if you just want to say hi, go ahead and drop the comment and I can bring it up here on YouTube. On the stream, and we can say hello, we can interact. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So since more people are joining, we can go ahead and dive into the more in-depth explanations of your readings and your stories. And hold that thought before that, Mr. Rey Jopé has joined us. Hello. So since more people are joining, we can go ahead and dive. I'm not sure if there's an echo going on in the back. I think the video might be playing or streaming. And hold that thought before that, Mr. Rey Jopé joined us. Hello. Let me see.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late.
Oh, no, you're good. I think the stream might be playing in the background from your microphone. Do you have it playing? There we go. I think that fixed it. Okay, awesome. So before we continue to the more in-depth introductions, Mr. Rey Jopé, would you like to give a brief, where are you tuning in from? What's your position in education? What are the title of your works?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be able to join you. So thank you for the invitation, Katelynn. Hello, fellow authors. I'm tuning in from McAllen, and I'm a math teacher at Achieve Early College High School. I teach college algebra and algebra 2. And as of September of last year, I had three Fisper books, Fisper books. I'm sorry, uh, and yeah, I still haven't embraced that idea of me being an author. I still feel like I'm just a math teacher. So pardon me if I'm not there like you all are. So good afternoon.
But you have your name on the book and it's out there in the world and people can read it and they can share it, and that makes you an author. We are showcasing authors in education today. On the title, we are here to lift each other up. And so I'm seeing some more comments and viewers come in on Facebook. I see thumbs up. I see hearts. Thank you for the support. If you have a question, if you want to say hi, go ahead and stop by. Leave a comment. I can bring it up and we can interact and engage. And so my next point would be for all of you to introduce yourselves once again for people who are just hopping on. But this time, give a little bit more in depth about your books and what you've written. What are they about? Maybe a little bit about where they came from. This is your time to shine and showcase what titles you have. And we can begin with Miss Ana Cavazos. You're muted again, I think. Sorry.
I'll get the hang of this. I have to mute because I have a little bit of an echo on my. I cause echo for Katelynn. So I'm Ana Cavazos. I'm tuning in from Harlingen. I'm a former educator and retired. I was a teacher, a librarian, and every other hat they threw at us in education, as you all know. That was a lot of fun, though. I learned a lot from that. I have a couple of books. You can see them up here. You see the Through Fields to an Education, which is a snippet of a memoir. It's a story of something that we went through as young adults, going through the field and working. And you bet that we got our degree right after that, or went to school and stayed focused after that because it was a tough summer that summer. The other book is called the Comic Strips and Cartooning book, and that one actually was born of all the when I went to all those events, all those literacy events, and all those classroom visits, and all those interactions with children. When they come up to me and ask me, how do I write my book? And they come with their little notebook papers, their little story stapled and notebook papers, and they'd say, "This is my story right here. I want to turn it into a book. How do I do this?" So I'm hoping that this Comic Strips and Cartooning book will serve as a resource for them to kind of like a launch pad so they can take off and start really thinking about writing and illustrating seriously. So it's something that stands alone. It can be used in the classroom to teach writing, but it also is something that, both ways. You can use it in the classroom and it can stand alone with a child to use on their own. So these are the two books that I have, and I'm working on a third one called Is That You Tooth Fairy? I'm almost done. I've been working on that for over a year. I'm at the final illustrations already. I'm adding other things to it. I should launch pretty soon. So that's something to look forward to. And I also have a collection of stories and poems that I'll tell you more about later as we speak. So thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so very much for that. Again, the whole message of your book, it's educational as well as insightful. You're able to share that with students and readers, and they're able to get the experience through a story, which is amazing. And then the comic strips and cartooning, there's so much untapped talent for future illustrators and future artists and graphic novelists and everything. So that's awesome for sharing that. And Miss Rosalinda Cruz, tell us about your written works, both for children's books and beyond. I know you have a lot to showcase and a lot of recent new releases, which is exciting. The floor is yours to tell us about your titles.
So the first couple of books that I have are children's stories, and they're inspired by my grandchildren. I have My Favorite Bubbles, which is about a little boy who discovers the magic of bubbles and goes on a journey. And so it's very interactive. And then The Dinosaur Boys was my second children's story. And again, inspired by my grandchildren, all boys, and they love dinosaurs, watch documentaries. I mean, it's just always an adventure. And so the ongoing theme with them is obviously that's their number one thing to go to. So it's about just children really participating in something that they enjoy and immersing themselves in an adventure and using their imagination and being really creative. And then right after that, I started doing a lot of presentations. And so I had a lot of feedback from audience members and from, other clients and things like that, where I talk about a lot of coping strategies, because besides being a school counselor, I'm also a licensed professional counselor. And that really has played a huge part in what I have written after that. And so the feedback was, do you have anything that's super simple where you just have some illustrations and very simple steps? And so I thought to myself, yes. And because I'm a certified laughter yoga leader, I also teach laughter exercises, which I know it sounds really silly, but it is research-based. It is an international organization. And so I found myself being immersed in the community and communities. And now with COVID, with virtual, it's opened up a whole new world. And so the feedback also was, do you have anything on laughter exercises? As far as the laughter exercises, my response was no, because, this is based on the Laughter Yoga organization, and they have the copyrights to that. But one of the things that I've always done with my grandchildren is sometimes, they are temperamental and they lose their, their emotions. They can be very grumpy. And so I would be like, ha, 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 he, 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 he. And so out of that came out the Ha Ha, He He, Ho Ho book, which is very silly for children and for parents, but it's a fun book. And so I also have Benefits of Laughter and So Much More, which is my presentation where I talk about different types of strategies that incorporate breathing techniques, the tapping solution, laughter yoga, journaling, music, art. And then in addition to that, I also have breathing techniques for children, teens, and I also have breathing techniques for superheroes. And so positive journal affirmations. And I recently started translating them into Spanish. And so that'll be happening in a couple of weeks, where they'll be published out and stuff like that. So it's a combination of a couple of things, but it's with everything that I love to do.
I love that so very much. And as a aspiring positive psychologist, I love everything with the laughter yoga. I love the fact that you have, the positive self-affirmations. It's absolutely amazing that you're taking all your different, knowledge and expertise and career fields and putting it into literature. Thank you so very much for sharing. And Mr. Rey Jopé, tell us about yourself and your written works. What are your titles? Tell us a little bit of background on that.
Well, I have been a math teacher since I started working. It's almost 30 years now. When my right now I teach at Achieve Early College High School, which is the only early college high school we have in McAllen ISD. I teach college algebra and algebra 2. In 2002, my mom passed away from a long illness, and I guess the way I mourned was thinking about her legacy, the things I've learned from her as a parent. In 2002, I was able to. I started thinking about writing children's books, and that year I was able to come up with a name for my protagonist. My protagonist's name is Feyesper, and it came from the words fe y esperanza, which is the Spanish for faith and hope. I thought that my mom was an epitome of faith and hope, and I want to honor this. I want to honor her and her legacy and her memories by writing these books. So Fisper is named in her honor, and it's also my way of acknowledging the uh, my relationship with my Hispanic friends and students here in the valley. In case I haven't told you, I was born in the Philippines, and although that's a very far country, but your Hispanic heritage, we also share that. The fact that the Philippines was under Spain for about 433 years. And so when I came here, I just was at home right away, and I still enjoy having my students around and interacting with them. My Fisper books, the first one I published was called Fisper and the Rogue Kite, and this was inspired by what I learned in my classroom the first time I taught here. Uh, I have in my experience, I have seen a lot of people brush off, you know, things that they see when kids fight, and I hear adults say that, oh, leave them alone, they're kids and they're just gonna fight. It's part of their growing process. But I thought that the kids probably can be taught accountability at an early stage if we only focus on it. And so my book uses the kite as a metaphor or analogy. I don't know which word I should be using, but the yarn represents a relationship, and the kite and the kite flyer are the two people in a relationship. Uh, well, we all know that sometimes the breeze is very good and perfect for flying, so we just hold on to the kite and enjoy the experience. But there are times that the breeze can be so strong. So how do we fly our kite if the breeze is so strong, and how do we fly the kite if the wind is not is weak? And what do we do with the kite flying? So I broke down the flight, the kite flying into three terms that's um, uh, within the understanding of the kids, to just hold on the kite, to pull whenever we need to pull, and then release when we have to release. And when I wrote this book, I was also thinking of the adults that are reading this book to the kids, because I don't think even as adults we are really experts at handling relationships. So this book is designed to empower kids, to let them understand their part in any relationship. What a way to empower the kids, at a very young age, that they can have a sense of control, with the relationships that they have between their siblings, their parents, their teachers, and so on. And let me mention divorce, which was the main trigger for me when I thought about writing this book. Sometimes in a divorce, the victims are the kids, and we don't even engage them in conversations. So that's what I saw in my classroom for the first time when I started teaching here. And I don't think we can erase divorce in our culture here, but one thing that we can do is probably empower the kids and help them survive if it comes to them. The second book was Fisper and the Wicked Neighbor, and it's about tolerance and understanding. I've seen our kids and even adults, they get upset when they're offended. And sometimes it's a good idea to put ourselves in their shoes and maybe think that maybe there's a trigger for them why they're behaving that way. And so this is my answer also to the cancel culture that's happening around us right now. uh, Fisper and the Red Shoes, which was my latest. This was just published in September last year. Fisper and the Red Shoes is about charity, and it's the higher level of charity that I want to instill in our young people. Uh, when we have things that we don't want to use anymore and we don't want them anymore around us, we give them away and we call it charity. I think at the lowest level of charity, it is charity, but I want people to understand that there's a higher level of charity, which is, you still need it. You still need it to survive. You still need it to get by, but somebody else needs it more, and then maybe it's a good thing to share what we're holding on and to help other people. Thank you. I spoke.
Thank you very much. That's what we're here for. We're here to showcase, we're here to discuss, we're here to share. So thank you very much. You have wonderful messages in each of your books, and the metaphors and all the different things are so awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Mr. Rey Banda, tell us a little bit about your titles and what are they about? What I just love the cat. We'll talk about it. But tell us what you have and the stories behind them.
Yes, hello everybody again. So I have 4 books here. So the first book I want to talk about is my first book, which is called The Magical City of Northopolis, A Christmas Story. This is a story about how a man named Nicholas travels to the North Pole, discovers this magical city called Northopolis, and he ends up becoming Santa Claus. And people wonder, like, where would you come up with the name Northopolis? Well, because it's based on how I decorate my house for Christmas, which leads to my other book, Northopolis, Ryan's Christmas Dream. And yes, I am Ryan, and I know we're the same guy here. Maybe that's just me in a parallel universe or something. And and this book is based on how I decorate my house for Christmas. And this will be our 21st year. Back hurts from still decorating. My goal is always December 1st, and I think I am gonna reach that goal a few days maybe earlier. But no, December 1st. I don't want people to be like they're like, wait, November 30th. Like, no, tomorrow. So, and our house has been featured on the Great Christmas Light Fight on ABC back in 2019, and it was that was just such an honor. And then half the time I kept thinking, like, what did I get myself into? Seeing all the cameras and everything, but it was quite an experience. And then hopefully maybe they'll come back. So, and then my other books here, I got 2 cat books, and I'll start with this one here, Beans No Home. This is the first cat book I have, and this is based on how I rescued my cat back in 2010, and it turns out he's a special needs cat, and the message I was trying to get here is how he never gave up. He wanted to find a home, and then he finds a home, a loving home. He's adopted, and I also want to encourage people to adopt pets or rescue cats. He was a stray. I mean, he wouldn't have survived if I hadn't picked him up. And I know people are always like, oh, they see a stray animal, you want to rescue it, and then rescue it, please. That's all I'm gonna say. And then my other book here, which is not really a sequel, but I guess it's the next adventure of Bean, is called Bean Saves the Day. And as you can see, it's won so many awards. And actually, I got to update it with a few more awards on here. And this one is how Bean saves the day. I mean, I don't want to ruin the story, but the message here is to conquer your fears and to overcome them. I mean, we're all going to be faced with a situation like that, and but we need to conquer our fears and never give up, no matter how hard they seem. And then I'm also, I know one thing I also want to mention too, that I am also part of the Rio Grande Valley Ghostbusters, RGV Ghostbusters. So a big shout out to my group. We saw the premiere of the new movie on Wednesday, and it was thumbs up. We all loved it.
We always got to put the Ghostbusters plug. That is awesome. Oh my gosh. If you've seen him on Facebook, they've got the car, he's got the backpack and the full suit. It is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I love it a lot. Yes. So again, a reminder to everyone on Facebook and YouTube, if you have any questions, if you'd like to say hello, you can comment and pop in. I know Miracle Austin, who is another author and is going to be on later, put books, claps, and hearts. Thank you for watching, Miracle. We appreciate the support. And Miss Rosario Ozuna said, hi, everyone. Ana Cavazos, Rosalinda Cruz. So happy to see you, ladies. Happy to learn from all of you today. Hi, Rosario. Thank you so very much for joining. Thank you for watching. And again, if you have a question, if you'd like to leave a comment, please do so, and I can bring it up and we can interact and have lots of cool engagement. So this is the Authors in Education panel. So that is the big topic, one of the big topics that I would like to hit today. So whether you are retired or you are currently working in education, or it may not be teaching, but it might be, some other form of administration or dealing with students, how has that occupation balanced out with your writing? It's a lot of responsibility to be an educator and to work in the schools and all sorts of different things. So just making that balance might be difficult, or maybe you've cracked the code. You've got the formula that you'd like to share. And also, how do they interact with each other? Maybe while you're engaging with your students, do you learn from them? Do you share the stories with them? Are you inspired by them? So what is your current occupation now, and how do you balance that with writing? And then how do the two sort of meld together and work together? So Miss Ana Cavazos, the floor is yours.
I just love being first. Well, and I had all my notes, but I, of course, mixed them all up. But I can tell you that after 30 years of being in education, and I was a teacher, I was a librarian, I was a mom also, and I'm a nana now, so I'm always continuing the learning and experiencing so much with this new pandemic here and all the digital tools and everything else that goes with that. How has all those experiences helped me in my journey and my writing? Well, I know as a librarian, I know where the need is. I know where in the library there's gaps of stories that children need that come up and say, and you have anything from coin collecting to fantasy to, they just want all kinds of things, but more than anything, they want to find a character that looks like them, that has adventures, experiences like they do at home. And so many times we could not find anything that would reflect their life. And so I think that those are the gaps that we need to fill in. It's important for us to tell our stories, tell our experiences, our grandparents' experiences, because this is what they're going to relate to. And you don't know if that one book is going to be what's going to connect them to writing, or bond that love or that for reading, for literature, for school, and for a future career. So absolutely all the experiences that I've had as a librarian, as a teacher, I have used in my writing and my speaking and everything else that I do. What was your other question that was related to this one?
I think you answered all of it. And just in terms of what's your occupation, how do you balance it maybe? And then how do you balance that with your writing life? And then how do the two realms correlate with each other?
Let me tell you a little bit about retired life. I'm retired, but I really, really think that retired means you are tired again, because you're doing some of those things again, but at a later age. And so I think that people think that I'm not as busy. So I have calls like, hey, can you bring me lunch? Or can you go pick up this person or do that? And so I'm super busy. I'm up at 5:30. I'm out the door by 6. I'm home around 8 o'clock. And so I'm doing all that. And then I find time to come and sit in my workspace and spend at least 2 or 3 hours. But I'm not one of those writers that has to sit and do it every single day. A lot of the times my inspiration will come from being outdoors and of course the pandemic year and the loss that we've had, all of that have certainly made me a better poet. So I think poetry has been really big for me this time, but all those experiences, everything that we go through, of course, they affect everything that we do, how we write, how we speak, what to say to motivate and inspire.
I like that a lot, that we learn through tribulations, and, to be able to expand into poetry from the different occurrences. And it's just always so great to see that even if there are trials, even if it gets a little hard, we can learn from them and we can continue to pursue. Thank you very much for sharing.
You're welcome.
And so, Ms. Rosalinda Cruz, how does your occupation, several different realms that you are in, how do you balance that with your writing career? And then how do they relate to each other, especially in terms of education?
So I've been in the educational setting for about 30 plus years as a reading teacher and then as a school counselor, and just recently retired. So, books have always been really important in my life, and the interaction with my students and with my grandchildren and with clients, and just like life in general, people with their inspiring stories and how they deal with their challenges and their hardships has always played into everything that I've done. And so I think what happens is I love that what Ana said, which is when we go to book events, it's so wonderful to see, our little readers, come to these events and have them talk to us, because all of a sudden they're like, and especially like if they're local events, it's just amazing to see their little eyes and their smiles. And even the parents get so excited to see that there is someone just like them who can illustrate, or who can write these stories, or who is published, or who is self-published. And this happened a couple of years ago, but I remember a parent, she brought her son in, and he must have been about 7, and she just said, he's so resistant to reading. And so I started talking to him, and he's an artist. And so I showed him how important illustrations are to the words and to the sentences and to the creation of a story. And it was like all of a sudden he was able to make that connection. And so he got super excited. And his mom was like, I've never seen him like that. And all of a sudden he's like, let's go check out bugs. Let's. And so that was an opportunity for us to make a connection with our readers. And even for those who are a little bit resistant. And so I think for me, as far as the educational connection, I mean, that's always been so important. Even though I'm retired, I mean, my heart will always be with education, because that is where I spent the majority of my life in my career. But it has not only expanded in my way of thinking, but in my way of connecting with others. And a lot of the times, our students and our teachers and the people that we work with, they provide an opportunity for us to grow, because it becomes a journey of where we not only provide insight for them, but they also do that for us, because their journey of having courage and the strength to pursue and go through whatever they're dealing with. It's just so inspiring. And so we're able to make those connections that way.
I love that a lot, especially just, even if it's one child that you're able to plant that seed and they turn to it and they start to grow and love reading and writing and all sorts of things, that's absolutely wonderful. And then the connections. The connections are most definitely important. Thank you very much for sharing. And Mr. Rey Jopé, how does your occupation tie in to literacy and reading and things like that? And how do you balance them out? Sometimes I know the the contrast between math teacher and author. How do you balance that? How do they tie into one another of your role as an educator and you interact with your students? Tell us about that.
I was thinking about the word balancing. And to me, I don't have to do any balancing, because to be honest, I really haven't done anything to promote my book. The farthest the best I've done so far is probably joining your panel, Katelynn. I don't talk about my book unless people ask me about it. Uh, my school district takes pride in my accomplishments. When my second book got an award in 2018, and then this year the third book got an award from the same award giving body. People talk about it, but it's not part of my daily goals. Not that maybe I'm shy about it, but well, the thing is that you can't really hide a good thing, right? Uh, people ask me, my students ask me, so whenever I have a chance, I talk about it, if only to inspire them, but I make sure that I talk about it only when they're curious about it, or when we talk about values that happens to be related to one of the values that my each one of my book espouses. I'm a little bit disappointed with myself in that area, that I haven't done so much. I get so many emails and phone calls from different agencies wanting to be my agent. They want to represent me in any ways, but I have no idea how to respond to those calls because, to be honest, I'm a math teacher that doesn't know what to do. Uh, but this week I'm planning to maybe make a few calls, return those some of those calls that I think probably are legitimate, and then we'll see if Fisper has a real good future in terms of TV animation or movie animation, which is, I'm embarrassed to say, but that's one of my dreams, for my characters to be picked up for animation. But I haven't done anything uh, to be on that uh, route. So I thank you, Katelynn, for the opportunities like this, because that's the only time I think I get to talk about Fisper in a larger setting. So thank you.
Of course. And honestly, that's what it's all about. It's about being able to showcase you all, give you a platform, a way to talk. You all are dear friends, and your books are just amazing, and there are so many messages. And so you will get there. Success is in your future. You got to take those steps, and you got to slowly build it. And so I know for sure the future successes are coming your way. And again, to be able to give you this ability to share it and talk about it, especially with readers and writers alike, it's always a pleasure. And I'm very, very glad you could be here today.
Thank you.
And, yes. And Mr. Rey Banda, for yourself, how do you balance the educational aspect with the writing aspect? And how do they relate to each other, either when you're in the classroom or outside of it? Tell us more about that.
Well, I can definitely say, like, when I'm in the classroom, when I go to reading classes, the reading teachers can definitely, they use me an example a lot, like, oh well, Mr. Banda here, he's he's our author, and when the students hear that, they're very surprised, like, oh, you wrote a book, and then all of a sudden they're just so interested in my books, and then usually the reading teachers will have copies of my books, and they'll read it, and then. It's very good because I get to inspire all these students. Like when I see their work, and I'm like, their written work, I'm like, you got a lot of talent here. I can see this going somewhere with this. And oh really, sir? I didn't. It's like, you gotta believe in yourself. That's some of these students don't really hear that, and I think they need to hear that. And especially when you hear from an author, it kind of just like, oh, Mr. Banda thinks my work's good, so it must be good. And even students that I see they're drawing instead of taking notes, and I'm like, that's good. I mean, you should be taking notes, but I mean, I can see like they got a lot of talent there too. And I would tell them, one day someone may come up to you and ask you want to illustrate my book? So I had to do that because I'm not good at drawing, and I had to find somebody to illustrate my book. And I was like, and you can charge whatever you want. There's no set price, so keep drawing, get a sketchbook and start drawing. And now, like, I see students like, hey sir, what do you think of this? I drew this. And I'm like, that's pretty good. I'm like, I wish I could draw like that, but I can't. And I know, like I said, what I mentioned, like the reading teachers will use me as an example, when we're doing like author's purpose, and they're like, right, Mr. Banda, because author's purpose, that's what authors like to do. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what we like to do. And kind of like when Mr. Jopé was saying, like, I think it must be a Rey thing or something, because I really don't talk about my books. It's always people talking about my books for me. And even when my book won an award recently, my district too, they started talking about it, and people, hey, you wrote a book? Oh yeah, I wrote a book. And I'm very, like, in a way, I'm kind of shy about that, but it's I guess it's a thing that I do, and it's as far as like trying to balance everything. Well, I mean, I mean, once I have free time, of course, during December it's always hard to find free time for me, but when I do have free time, like in the summertime or during our breaks, I do try to find balance and like, okay, it's time to work on the next book. It's time to what's the next step here? What's the next book event or this? And I'll try to, find little marketing purposes there or whatever. And I think this also must be a Ray thing too, Mr. Hope. But I also have I want my bean to become a cartoon as well. So I'm hoping to one day see him in either turn on the TV and he's there, or hey, look, it's playing. My movie's playing, or it's on Netflix or something. I would love to see that too. So that's it.
It's always awesome to dream big, because
It
that is how we reach our goals, and those are the steps that we take. And yes, it's just always so wonderful to hear. They may sound like big dreams, but when you put it in perspective, publishing a book can be a big dream, and you all have already accomplished that and taken that first step. So there's so much more to do. There's so much more to accomplish. And again, just the fact that you take the time to inspire the kids and uplift them. Sometimes they really, really need it. Sometimes they don't get it in other places that they maybe should, but to be able to be the educator and uplift them, all the love to you and all the thanks, because we definitely need that in our students and youth for sure. So thank you all for that. And one of my other questions would be for aspiring writers or aspiring authors. Maybe they want to start writing, or they want to start telling their story, or maybe they have the book and they want to put it out in the world as an author. What would your advice be to them? So either actual written advice and practicality, or an authorship. Maybe there are some hardships that you've faced and you've overcome those obstacles. Any advice that you'd like to share dealing with writing and being an author, what would you say, starting with Miss Ana Cavazos?
There's so much to tell. It encompasses so much, but I think the very first thing to do is write the story. Just write the story, write it down. It doesn't matter if there's grammatical errors or anything, if there's anything missing, write it, finish it up as best as you can. Find somebody who can edit it for you. A teacher. English teachers are the best because they've been trained to look for certain things, structure and grammatical errors and the plot and what have you. So they can be of help, and they probably, I hate to say this, but educators are so giving. It's true. We're very giving. We will help, and we most of the time won't charge. So find a teacher, find somebody that you trust that can do that for you. Another thing is that you need to decide which way you're going to go. Are you going to try to go traditional publishing, which means that you're going to submit to companies, you have to follow some kind of guideline, submit it exactly the way they want, and if they take it up, I mean, you are fortunate, and you must be really good, and they really like your story. It also has to fit. Sometimes they're looking for ghost stories. Sometimes they're looking for, a certain type of genre. So if you fit all that guideline and you go, they accept it, then they will do everything for you. They'll book you. They'll do marketing for you. They'll do all of that for you. But that takes a little while. Another option is to self-publish. So there are so many companies out there. There's KDP, there's Barnes and Noble, there's Smashwords, there's Apple Books. There's just so many companies that you can go to that you have to do your research and figure out what best fits or what's best for you. I think that KDP, I went, first of all, my book was accepted by a company and published, and then I decided to self-publish. And for me, the fit was KDP simply because I wanted to do a trial run, see how this works. Now I have more serious works that I would like to submit to traditional publishing or other different venues. So you have your self-publishing, you have traditional publishing, and then there's companies that will do it for you for a price. And so you end up paying sometimes a pretty penny to get your book published, but they will do some marketing for you. They will do some the printing for you and all of that. But you kind of lose your rights. You're not in full control. So the one that has the best control would be self-publishing. Traditional publishing would be the best way to do it, of course. So those are the things that you need to research and find out what best fits you. But absolutely don't stop the writing, start the writing. I would say start an account somewhere, a social media account, and kind of put yourself out there on a daily basis to see what people, the kind of feedback you get back. Okay, so, and I should do that myself too, but it is not easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there, put your thoughts out there, put your work out there. I have, let me show you what I have here. And I'm gonna put him out there, my little mouse. That's my character for, is that you, Tooth Fairy? And you see his little claws, they're very sharp. And I went around a whole year asking kids, what do you think? Because I want to start off as a scary little character, and then they get all creeped out and they pick it up, and then go in and find out that he's just a little mouse. And this is a tooth fairy in some countries, some Latin American countries. So I have done some of that legwork and gotten feedback. That's something you can do. Put yourself out there on social media and see what kind of feedback you get. But absolutely get started. Don't sit there and just dream like I do sometimes. I've taken a little while, so that would be my advice.
Thank you very much. I love that it comes from both a practical standpoint in terms of like the traditional publishing versus self-publishing, but then that motivational aspect of like just get it done. You've all got a story to tell, put it out there in the world. Thank you so very much. I really, really like that advice. And for Ms. Rosalinda Cruz, for any aspiring writers or aspiring authors, what advice do you have in terms of the actual writing process or authorship or anything in between?
I think the advice on the publishing and self-publishing was great. So I feel like maybe on the writing process, everybody has their own style. And I don't think there's a wrong and right. I think one of the biggest things is everybody says, what you want to write about is what's coming from your heart. Like, what are you familiar with? What is it that you gain insight on? Or what is it that you want to write about or share? And my process is journaling. I've always done journal writing, and I've done bits and pieces. But when I am inspired by something, I can't even describe it. It's not overwhelming, but it just will not leave my head. There's just like words and sentences floating in my head that says you need to sit down and you need to write it down. And so I do. And then I just, start immersing myself with it, and I start working on it. And that is my process. But the reality is that this is very doable. And so the publishing companies, they do take a lot longer. It is very competitive. If you're going in the children's market, it can take a really long time. Not once in my life did I ever think I was going to be an author. I wrote stories for fun. And I wrote stories because my grandchildren are super amusing. They're boys. So the grossest things are the funniest things in their world, And I grew up with sisters. And all of a sudden, my whole world changed when I had only one daughter. And then I was introduced to these little grand boys. And so it's really just writing about what you want to talk about or share, and just finding it inspiring. So and finding it so inspiring that you just want to share it. And it's not about just sharing it with the world. Yes, that would be great. And that would be a blessing, because I find everything in our life is a blessing when it expands to something, from one tiny thing to something else. I was fortunate that somebody planted the seed and said, you know what, I like your stories. You should think about publishing. And I thought, well, I wouldn't even know where to start. But social media being that the way that it is, there is a lot of opportunity out there. And so sometimes you will see companies, and that's what happened with me. I saw a company asking for children's manuscripts. And so, I looked at it and I thought, And then I did some research, and I found that it was a legitimate company and that they were not going to charge you for anything. And I remember submitting something like around June, and several months later, they called me and said, we love your story, because they read hundreds and thousands of manuscripts. And, I was given a contract. And then another year, because then the process is getting together with the editors and the illustrators and with the people who are working on your story, and then finalizing it, and then they put it out there. So when you hear, and it's amazing, because when you hear about authors, like everybody here on this platform, and you're familiar with that, it's a very lengthy process. So, in 2016 or something like that, I had one story, and then 2020, I had another one. And then for 2021, and I've got like 8 more books. And it's just the timing of things and the way that things are working out and what the need is at that moment. You know, is the market asking for a certain type of scenarios, you know, certain type of books or certain types of themes. And so there is like no wrong or right with the writing. You know, there's no right or wrong with the writing. It's about what you feel you want to share, and then just putting it out there. And I'm going to say something also in reference to that. It is very scary when you share something and then you hear a critique. But this is what my response is to that. My response is, then that's not for you. This is for somebody else, for another type of reader who's interested in what I have to share. And the second thing is, have courage and have faith in what you have to share, especially if it's something very positive. You know, I recently read a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, and it's about being in the arena. And it's a beautiful quote. And he said, don't worry about the critics. They're not in the arena. They're not the ones with the courage. They're not the ones that are doing the work. They're not the ones that fall down and pick themselves up, and that you still pursue because this is what you are passionate about. And so that's who you are. When you go out of your way to do something that you know is going to impact somebody else's life, and it's going to be meaningful and it's going to be positive, you just need to go forward with that. Because at the end of the day, you're going to find a person, a group of people, a community that are rooting for you and that are saying, I needed that. Thank you for sharing that. And that's the most important thing about writing.
I love that so very much. The power of words. The power of words and the ability to put it in such a way that you're going to connect with people and you're going to inspire people. And like you said, it's scary to put that out in the world and bare your soul and say, this is what I created. Do you like it? But it's, you know, getting past the fact that, you know, not everyone is going to say, oh, this was the most amazing thing ever. There's going to be, you know, obstacles. There's going to be little road bumps, but you believe in yourself and the people who it touches. That's what it's all for. Thank you very much for your words. And Mr. Rey Jopé, do you have any advice to anyone wanting to be a writer or an author, maybe from things that you've learned or anything involving the literary sense? Any advice for people who would like to start writing and be published?
After 3 books, I still consider myself ignorant when it comes to publishing, because all I know is what I have done. I'm fortunate that I thought about writing my children's books out of my love for my mom. So it's my way of honoring her memory. And at that time, I didn't care about critics. I didn't care about, you know, people not liking what I've done. To me, writing is just a hobby at that time. Well, even up to now, it's still a hobby. It stays in the background. But I was passionate about putting it together. I wanted to be the best uncle in the world. I want to be the best brother in the world. I wanted my uh, cousins to be proud of me. I just want to put it out there, and you know, I wasn't really worried about failing. Things that we do, they involve risks, but my passion for when I thought about Fisper and then nurturing and growing that idea in my head, it was like a journey that I enjoyed so much that all I want to do is just share it with people, and if it flies, then it flies. If not, then so be it, right? uh, but I remember what my mom used to tell me, that you write your own stories, and I mean it literally and figuratively. You the story of your life, make it happen. Whatever your dreams are, you pursue them and do them. But when I created the character Fisper, and I told my students and my friends about the inspiration behind it, it started floating. Like I started getting a push to pursue it. so it started growing, and my dream started taking shape. It was just an idea earlier, but I guess if there's one thing I'm gonna uh, use as an advice is don't keep it to yourself. Share your ideas, and then learn from those ideas, and let your the people around you, especially the ones that care about you and love you, those are the best critics for you. Hone your talent, and develop your characters according to the feedback that you get, and according to your own ideas also, on how you want the project to proceed. I was fortunate that, well, in my case, when I published the first story, I thought that it was divinely inspired. I was sudden The story was already done, and suddenly I was thinking about how to publish it. Well, my favorite reading material is the Reader's Digest, and one time I was reading it, and uh, I happened to open it on a spread that it's an ad. It's an advertisement for their sister company called Life Rich Publishing. And I had questions in my head. I knew how to publish stuff in the Philippines, but I have no idea how it is done here in the U.S. But that ad on the Reader's Digest became my concrete idea, and I just pursued it. I just contacted them right away. I had ideas that it was gonna be easy, but then it turned out to be, oh, I have to do that now. Oh my God, it's gonna involve more money and everything. Uh, but when people ask me how I did it, then I just tell them what I have done, and I usually just refer them to Life Rich Publishing, and then I tell them that if you like it, pursue it, and if not, then find another way. But I'm not educated enough when it comes to publications. I'm lucky to have done 3 books, but I still pinch myself and say, I don't. How did I do that? But I guess when you are passionate about something, uh, you're unstoppable.
I love that sentiment so very much. When you're passionate about something, you're unstoppable. Absolutely words to live by, and absolutely wonderful advice to people who want to pursue writing and authorship. We've mentioned it several times, but it's a big step. And the fact that you've taken it not once, but several times in all the titles that you've published, big hats off to you, and a round of applause to all of you here, because that's just absolutely amazing to have done and continue to be doing. Absolutely wonderful. And Mr. Rey Banda, any advice that you would give to any aspiring writers or authors in the written sense, the authorship sense, marketing, or getting the book out there, finding illustrations, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, just adding what the other authors have already said. I mean, with what Miss Ana said. I mean, there's traditional publisher and self-publishing. I mean, I would say, due to the pros and cons. I mean, there's but either one's a good route. I mean, it's just whatever route you want to go to. And like Miss Cruz said, like, there's no right or wrong. I mean, yeah, it's just write. I mean, believe in yourself, believe in your writing. I guess as long as you don't do any copyright laws there, you're okay then. Yeah, you could pretty much write anything, and just don't give up. Just believe in yourself, and don't worry about the grammatical errors. Don't worry about if you misspell words. That's what spell check's for. That's what editors are for. I mean, they get paid to edit your book and run on sentences and whatnot, things that you're not really quite sure, but that's okay. Just get the story out there. Those of you who love drawing, keep drawing. Just don't give up. I mean, that's the main thing, is not to give up. Believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then no one else is going to believe in you. But you need to believe in yourself. And it's just something that, it's a dream. If you have a dream, keep that dream alive. And the dream is obtainable. And like I tell people, like, I'm just a normal, average guy. I mean, and you don't have to be some rich celebrity to get a book out there. I mean, anyone can do it. So just keep that dream alive. That's the main thing.
I love that. Don't give up. Believe in yourself. Keep the dream alive. Absolutely good points to continue and carry on. Thank you so much. And we did get a comment from Raul Martinez Jr. from Rosalinda Cruz's answer saying, I love that response to a book critique. The book is apparently not for that person. It's meant for someone else. And that is a very, very good way and outlook to look at it for sure. Where if someone doesn't like your work or doesn't like what you've written, maybe it's just not for them. But someone else is going to love it and someone else is going to connect with it. Someone else will resonate and continue to love and share your work. And that's what it's all about. So we are just about hitting that time. So thank you all so very much for being here today. And again, it was so very wonderful to be hosting the Right Crowd during National Family Literacy Month. And I know that all of you all here are testaments to literacy in just everything that you do, you know, from math teacher to special education teacher to, you know, reading teacher and counselor and LPC and then retired from librarian in the classroom. You all have literacy in every aspect of your lives. And just the fact that you've written a book and put it out there means that you're continuing to support and advocate it in each and everything that you do. And I'm so very grateful that you all could come on here today, share your stories, share your works. It's always a pleasure to speak with you all. And as a final sign off for anyone who was on Facebook and YouTube watching, thank you so very much. The Right Crowd is still not over. We have one at 3 o'clock, one at 4 o'clock, and then all day tomorrow and 2 more next week. So there's a lot more to come. And if you loved the authors here today and want to learn more about them, now is the time that we will share those social medias and websites and where can you buy the books and all that fun stuff. So starting with Miss Ana Cavazos, where can we find you after this?
You can find me on Facebook. I am under author Ana Cavazos. Please follow. Also on Instagram, it's RGV at RGV author Ana. If you have any questions or anything you want to talk to me about, just contact me through there and I will contact you back. My books are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Ms. Rosalinda Cruz, where can we find you after this? Any socials or websites? Or is it?
I have a website. It's www.rosalindacruz.org. And then I have an Instagram account, which is Rosalinda Cruz Author. I also have Twitter, which is Miss Rosalinda Cruz. And a 4-year-old recently requested that I put my books on YouTube. So I was like, give me a week, I will figure it out. And so now I'm on YouTube, author Rosalinda Cruz. I'm telling you, our little readers inspire us to do amazing things. And so I'm on those social media platforms.
Thank you so very much. And Mr. Rey Jopé, do you have any sort of media that you'd like to link, or where can we purchase your book if we want to learn more about Feyesper and read his adventures?
When you Google Feyesper, well, the first ones that will come out would be the 3 books that I have, and they are all available in any online bookstore, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, eBay, Walmart. I don't have a website myself, so that explains why I'm not really into the author side of myself, right? I have a Facebook, a personal Facebook profile. People can message me there. I go with the name Rey Jopé. I recently started. I don't know if this is useful, but one of my students forced me to create a TikTok profile on October the 15th. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. For Twitter, I think I go by the name Rey Jopé or at Fisper. In 4 years, I'm gonna be retiring. I promise you, I'm gonna be pursuing this other side of my personality. I also have plans on translating these 3 books into Spanish. I have reached out to 2 teachers already, but they haven't responded to me yet. So it's one of my immediate plans to have them available in Spanish. And thank you guys for listening to what I had to share. You can tell I'm a shy author, right? But you can ask me for help in math anytime. Thank you, Katelynn, and good luck, guys, to my co-panelists.
Thank you so very much. Absolutely wonderful to have you. And again, wishing you the best in all the future endeavors. And Spanish translations sound amazing. Best of luck with that. And Mr. Rey Banda, where are your books available after this? And if people want to get in touch with you, is there any information about that? The floor is yours to share.
Okay. Oh, I heard feedback. That's why. Okay. So anyone can find me on our Northopolis Facebook page. I mean, just send me a message there, and I'll reply to you. I usually do a lot of updates about my books, and my books are available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, virtually every online bookstore there is, and I'm working on trying to get them physically in Walmart and Barnes and Noble, Target, but yeah, for now, like, just tell people, go to Amazon, go to Barnes and Noble, or if you're gonna stop by my house for Christmas when everything's up, stop by there, and I'll be selling books there too. I'm never gonna turn down that. So and I want to wish all my fellow co-authors here some good luck with everything, and you all said some very inspiring words there.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Once again, this has been the Authors in Education panel as a part of the Right Crowd 2021, a virtual literary expo. We are hoping to do this every year, and you guys are always amazing. You're always wonderful to come on. It's always a pleasure to have you and hear about your updated, releases and things that you're planning to do for the future. So absolutely wonderful. To everyone who tuned in on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much. It is not over. Return at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock for fantastical, fun, more panels. We've got all day tomorrow on Sunday, and we have things coming up on the 27th and the 28th of November. So thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, yes. Bye.
Bye.